welcome back to Shelabobby Handmade. My name is Caitlin, known just about everywhere on the internet as Shelabobby, and this is my podcast where we talk about knitting, crochet, yarn, sometimes some cross stitch when the urge fancies. That's not the right saying. Anyway, today I have quite a bit for you. It has been 3 weeks. Typically I record every 2 weeks, but it has been 3 weeks. I'll explain more in the life section as to why last week was swapped out. But yes, it's been 3 weeks, so I have quite a few finished objects for you. Let me count really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5? I have 5 finished objects for you. And lots of works in progress, some new works in progress, some new finishes that I would say are SAFs, start and finishes, which means I started them before you've seen them and finished them since then. So let's get started. Buckle in. We have a long one. Got some acquisitions for you too. My Ruby and Roses came in, so we got some things to talk about. All right, so the first finished object that I have for you is one that you saw as a whip last episode. And this is the plastic bag holder by Kylie Keller. It is a free pattern that I used the blog. If I'm not mistaken, there is a PDF that you can purchase, but I just used the blog to make it. It is quite small, which I knew it was based on the pattern comments, the things on Ravelry, but this is just like an extra bag holder for plastic grocery bags that we get, and we use them to clean up Charlie's litter and the new baby chicks. So I made one of these just because right now we're just having the bags out, like one of the bags looped on one of the handles and then stuffed with other bags. So I just felt like this might be a cute, fun thing to make for that. It does have an elastic hairband at the bottom to pull the bags through, and then you stuff them all at the top. The only modification that I made is I did do a extra single crochet around the top just to finish that off. It looked a little unfinished, and then I did my own thing for the loop. So I think in her pattern she says to chain, go back down, and then go back up the other side of the chain and then fasten it off. I just did the chain, came back down, and then fastened it from there. So I wanted it to be nice and sturdy. My face is over there. I wanted it to be nice and sturdy. So it is sewn in, also slip stitched together. I started this May 17th and finished it May 18th, so it was a very quick project. This is using Knit Picks Dishy in the colorway Inlet, and I had some left. So now that I have shown it to you, I can hang it up in the kitchen and start putting bags in it. Next are some socks. These are not in chronological order of being started or finished or anything. It was just how I wrote them down. So the next finished object is a pair of socks. So these are my Daedalus socks. This is a pattern by Roro and Cades, also known as Kelly Menzies here on YouTube. And this is part of, she has a Cozy Toe Mal. I always get that wrong. It's like Cozy Toe Mal, which she does a pattern of hers every 2 months, and it is just a make along that you can do, and you submit on Instagram, so it is open to everyone. And then she has a Discord group that you can also post your pictures in and things like that. So this was my submission. This is socks for my sister. I believe I made this second size in the pattern. And then the yarns that I used are Granite Mountain Fiber Co. in the colorway Blaze, which is the orange-red color. And then the black is same Granite Mountain Fiber Co. in the colorway Onyx, which you will see again in acquisitions. I made these on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. Magic loop is my preferred method as always. And I started these May 7th and finished them May 31st. This is a slip stitch pattern. So if you are not familiar with mosaic knitting, the places that the color intertwines looks like it's on the same row as another color. It's not color work. It's actually just slip stitches from the rows below. And so it is very easy. The repeat is very easy to follow and understand. There's not too many slip stitches in this pattern. Highly recommend. It looks very complicated, but in fact it is easy and very fun to make. I know a lot of the people in the Discord are making several pairs of these for the make along because it's just that fun. So yes, I think I knit everything to pattern. Maybe I switched out the toe, and I always do a 2x2 cuff unless it's necessary. I do have some that are 1x1, but they are not knit through the back loop. It's just my preference of looking, but anyway. So these are for my sister. I already mentioned that. And these are my first pair of socks for Charlie's Sock Hop. If you don't know what Charlie's Sock Hop is, that is a make along that I am hosting this summer for Sock Make Along. If you want all of the details, check this video here. I'll also have it linked below. It is episode 40, but I go through all of the details. It has all of the links in that description of the video for where to post, all of the rules, all the information. So I'm just going to link you there. That's the easiest place. It's right up front in the video, so you'll get everything right up front. All right, so this is my first pair completed for Charlie's Sock Hop. This year, usually for summer sock camp when that is running, I try to make a goal. This year I am not going to set a goal. Last year I set a goal for 30 and I think I got 22 done. But it was very, like I had to push to get that much. And that was just because the summer was really busy with baby chicks, and we have baby chicks again. So I know that my summer is going to be busy with them and getting them settled and just other life things. So I don't want to push myself too much, but yeah, I'm just going to have fun and make as many socks as I feel like. The next pair is going to need these sock blockers. I'm going to pull off those and place these. This is a rare occurrence on my channel. I'm making socks for, or I made socks for myself. You saw the beginnings of these last episode as well. I'm going to put both of them on there just for funsies. And I need to take pictures after because I don't have finished object pictures to post for my second pair of Charlie's Sock Hop socks. So these are my villager socks. They are vanilla socks with my own recipe, and they are, as I said, made for myself, which means they are 68 stitches. And I used US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. And yeah, nothing too special, just a vanilla sock to use this yarn. Let's see, any more details for these? Oh, the colorway is Ruby and Rose's Villager on her Soft Rose. This is the colorway, the 25th day from the 2024 Advent. So used up some 2024 yarn, which worked for the stash challenge, which is hosted by Mariah Knits. That will be linked below as well. So I'm doing a stash down challenge with her community, and it's a lot of fun. I've added a lot of grams into there this past month, thanks to a finished object you'll see in a minute. But yeah, I've made some blankets and things like that that I've added into that, and it's all using older stash, so it's encouraging to get some of that out. But as you've seen, I also use yarn from this year, and you'll see that in a minute. So yes, this is my second pair for Charlie's Sock Hop, and they are a pair for myself. I don't think I told you the dates for that. The dates for the Villager socks were May 17th through June 7th. All right. The next finished object is a big one. Let me get him. All right. If you are on Instagram crochet or Pinterest crochet, you will know that this is the Mushroom Guy by Stephanie. Yes, Stephanie Buckner. And the ones that she makes can be small, big. The pattern does a whole bunch of things. Mine is made out of Bernat blanket. It is a scrappy version, and he was using the yarn that I made my Bernat blanket chickens up there, and I used up a lot of yarn on him. It calls for not as much as it used in the pattern. For the chunky ones, his head's a little wonky. Let me fix him. There we go. It called for a lot more yarn, a lot less yarn in the pattern than I actually used for him. And I had to do some modifications because it just wasn't working out for me. I don't think that's a fault of the pattern. There's no gauge to go by, so I'm assuming my gauge was just off. But I was crocheting really tight. Like, this is a really dense fabric. And there was no way I could go down a hook size at all. So yes, all the details are on the pattern page. There's also some pictures that you can see him a little bit better. Like I said, his head is very top heavy, and but yeah, so he can't stand by himself. He sits in between at my what is that called? Closet door and my bookshelf. So he sits in between there, and he fits perfectly. So I did have to make modifications to him, one being his hat, and I'll show you why. So this is the original hat that I made, and it is ginormous. Like, it is bigger than it needs to be for my own head. So it was huge, and this was made to pattern, and I was like, I don't like it. It's gonna make his head way too heavy. I haven't even added the circles to it. It's also giving McDonald's. I hated it. So I put that aside to use later if need be, and then just decided to use this darker red and the bright red for the mushroom dots. I ran out of gray yarn, so his arms and his ruffle are made out of a different colorway, and I used up like 1,000 grams, including the second hat, which I'm counting because it's made, it's completed. I'm not using it for this guy, but it's not coming out, so that's what it's gonna look like. But yes, lots of yarn used for this guy, and he was just for funsies. I had the week off, and instead of making socks, I chose to make this guy. This was started on May 25th, and I finished him May 28th. Took a little bit longer because I had to make the hat adjusted. And the way that I adjusted that is, if you have the pattern, it is a paid for pattern, you will understand what this means. But I reduced the rows in the cap by 10, and then just adjusted the decreases in the top of the cap accordingly. It is not perfect. It is not exactly to pattern, but that's what I had to do to make it fit him. I also did not put a mouth on him or the blush. I just kind of liked him just like this. So yes, the way that his head works is that you can turn it, but it makes it really unstable for these big guys. And I've seen that before. These are like the toddler sized mushroom guys. So yes, he's huge, he's big, but he's just fine. He's not meant for, you know, children to play with or anything. So he's just for decoration. So he'll sit back over there safely. All right, he's taking a nap now. All right, so the last finished object that I have for you is tiny in comparison, but probably just as much crochet. So this is a tiny tuba. My nephew, my oldest nephew, just graduated 8th grade, so he's moving up to high school. He's a band kid, and he plays the tuba. So I have had it on my list to make him a crocheted tuba. So I thought graduation is the best time to do that. I started this while he was at his graduation. The graduations in my town are very limited to the amount of people that can go, just because our buildings aren't very large. Our families are large, but the buildings that the kids attend school in can't hold large amounts of people. So they were limited to 3 people going to their 8th grade graduation. And so my mom, his grandmother, my sister, and my brother-in-law, they went to the graduation, and then they video called in, and my nephew, my other nephew, and my niece, we watched it here on the phone. So while we were watching that, I was crocheting the bell, the big part of this. So this is by Smoothie Crochet on Etsy. I believe that is correct, and I will have it linked below as well. The original pattern is written for Bernat blanket, so it's meant to be very, very large, but of course with crochet, just like you can make a giant mushroom guy or a tiny mushroom guy, I decided to make it small with a fingering weight yarn. This is using some sparkly, I can't remember the colorway, it might be Luminaria from the Yarn of Enchantment Long Dog Yarn Club. And then the brown was just one that I had in my scrap stash. I did modify the pattern. I got extremely bored with crocheting like 6 stitches in crochet around this, which you can see is smaller than my fingertip. And I got tired of going around in circles, and I still needed to do like 30 rows. So I shortened the tuba bell bit. But as you can see, it doesn't really matter. It would have been like an inch longer. The mouthpiece would have wrapped around a little bit more, but that's about it. But yeah, the other modification is there's different options for the valves. And I did option 1, which should have had these strings going across and connecting to the larger part of the bell. But those were going to be like 4 stitches, and I didn't want to. Not in this yarn. Not in this size. So it is missing its valves, but it's not meant to be exactly accurate. The cool thing about this pattern, it is a paid for pattern on Etsy. I'll have that linked below. But it includes instructions to make a French horn, a trombone, and a tuba, all using the same base bell pattern. You just fold it in a different way. There's a little bit of extra pieces that you can connect to make the different instruments, but I thought that that was cool, especially if you have several kids playing brass instruments. You could use it to make that. Started this June 4th, finished it June 6th. It was fairly quick. As far as working on it, it was just crocheting around and around and around. I used, obviously, fingering weight yarn. I also used a 2.0 millimeter hook. If I had smaller, I would have used that. I probably would have used a 1.75 just to hide the gaps. You can see my stuffing in some of the places where I stuffed a little bit tighter. So I probably would have gone down to 1.75 or 1.5. Didn't have those sizes. I will. I've ordered them. But yes, that is my tiny tuba. All right, 20 minutes in, and we just finished objects. It's gonna be, y'all know how long it is. Y'all can see, but it's gonna be a long one. I can tell. Okie dokie. Works in progress. Let's go ahead and get started there because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those as well. The first one is in my Stitching the High Notes bag. This is one of the first bags that I purchased, and Stitching the High Notes is no longer making bags, but she's planning on releasing the sewing patterns for her bag. So if you are interested in this bag and you sew, go get you one of her patterns when they release this summer. But in here is my Musselburgh hat. I bring this, it's not made for anyone in particular. I bring this along when I am just needing some stockinette knitting, especially if it's going to be dark like movie theaters or band concerts, which is where I was working on this at. And it's almost done. I was hoping that I would be able to finish it this year and kind of have worked on it in my nephew's middle school years, but I still needed to do 7 inches, I think, and I did maybe an inch at his last concert, so there's still a way to go. But let's talk about the yarn. The yarn is Long Dog Yarns, Tweed Sock in her colorway Mackenzie, and this was the, I always forget the name right as it comes up, it's a book, Outlander. Her Outlander series that she did 2-3 years ago. It's been a while. And this is in the colorway Mackenzie, which is one of their last names, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember if it's her last name or the daughter's last name. I don't really watch the show, so I don't really, or read the books, so I don't really know the details. But this is where I got to. So the chicken is where you last saw it, which has been several episodes ago. And I was able to decide, I was able to complete several rows while watching his band concert. And typically I only work on this when he is not playing. So when other grades are playing or other bands, if you know, we're at an honors concert or something like that. But he was in 2 out of the 3 bands, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time to work on that. But yes, that's my Musselburgh tee. No. I mean, that might be a thing, but I don't think it is. Musselburgh hat by Ysolda Teague. And like I said, we are getting close. I think now I need about 6 more inches before I start the decreases, but I'm getting close on yarn, so we'll have to see. I know I want to save at least 20 grams for the decreases, and then if I have leftovers, they can go into a scrappy project, but think I'm at 35. Sorry, I can't get the stitch marker into the stitch. My eyeballs have crossed or something. Or this chicken just doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. So I've moved the stitch marker so that when I need to pull it out next, I don't have to worry about doing that. Obviously, that's fingering weight yarn. The pattern, if you're not familiar with the Musselburgh hat, is written for any gauge. So you basically cast on your yarn with a needle that you prefer, and then you can measure your gauge after you get started, and then it gives you instructions after that point. So I think I'm using a US 3 needle, which is 3.25 millimeters. All right, the next one is a blanket, and I haven't shown you guys my other blankets, which is the Go-Go Throw and the Anthology Throw. I think I showed you the Anthology Throw in the last episode, but I haven't worked on those too much because I wanted to cast on a new blanket. So the past 3 weeks, I don't think I've worked on either of those. If I did, I forgot to write it down, and it wasn't but a row or 2, so I'm not stressed. But this is a new blanket in my Fat Squirrel Fibers bunny bag. And this is the Diagonal Baby Blanket by Snufflebean Yarn. This is a free pattern that I found on a blog, so I'm not sure if it's a PDF pattern. I really was just looking for instructions on how to do a corner-to-corner knit blanket. I've never made a corner-to-corner blanket, not even in crochet. I've made dishcloths, but it seems like the structure for that is still a little bit different, because in the dishcloths you were increasing on both sides and then decreasing on both sides, whereas this you're only increasing on one side, and then when you get to the middle section of the blanket you're increasing on one side, decreasing on the other to keep it rectangle, and then you start your decreases on one side. So a little bit different, but I like the way that it is turning out. I like the shape of it. So I will link, I believe this is the one that I have the pattern linked on the Ravelry page. If not, then I will make sure it is on there if you're interested in it. But the pattern was written for DK weight DK weight yarn, and I am knitting it in fingering weight, so a little bit of differences there. This is for my friend Lugnut. He doesn't wear socks or scarves or hats or anything like that, even though he's in the cold of, I almost said Michigan. Similar, not Michigan though, Wisconsin. And so I want to make him something because I've made things for my other friends, but needed something that he would use. And so we talked about a blanket or a larger scarf. So I'm making him a blanket. He knows it's going to take longer than a pair of socks, but I pulled some yarns together. So let's go through the yarns first and see if I can remember them all. Only one of these are attached, and I believe it's that one. And I have the tags in here, but I'm not going to pull them out right now. I'll probably show you those later, especially like when it's done. So this one is Some Bunny Loves You by Yarnable. This one is Invisible Strings by Ruby and Roses. It was a Taylor Swift colorway, I believe. This one is Witch Please by Yarnable. This one has not been used in the blanket yet. It has 2 stitch markers. I'll explain that in a minute, but that is the last colorway I need to add in. This one is a One of a Kind from Yarnaceous Fibers. And then the yarn that is currently attached is Let's Get Basted by Yarnable. This cake is a hot mess. It has 2 stitch markers just because I only have a few rows. So I am using US 4s. Yes, US 4 3.5 millimeter needles. And I am all tangled. How that happened, I will not know because there's only one skein attached. Okay. So here is where I am. I'm currently adding in the 4th colorway. So this is Some Bunny Loves Me, Invisible Strings, the One of a Kind from Yarnaceous Fibers, and then Let's Get Basted, only a couple rows at the top. I am doing 30 rows for each stripe, and I just want to continue to do the same colorway in order because these are very similar in color, especially when they're in the blanket. And it's a little bit harder to tell which color is which at the moment. I added a colored stitch marker to the ball of yarn and then the same color stitch marker on the blanket so that I know, oh, I need to grab the light blue stitch marker. That's the next color. Just a little bit easier than trying to say, oh, is this, you know, Some Bunny Loves Me or is this Let's Get Basted? Just to give that ease. But in the camera, it's showing up quite different, so that's good. But in real life, these 2 colors are very, very similar, and I know that this one, as it gets in there, will also. He requested gray or purple as the colorways, and so this is the colorways that I found in my stash to use. 5 skeins, obviously, and I'm going to try and use as much as possible in this blanket. I am unsure how big the blanket will be. I've never made a fingering weight corner to corner blanket. I've never made a 5 skein blanket, so I don't know how big it will be, but once the yarn gets pretty close to half for one of the skeins, I will consider whether I need to start decreasing, if we'll do a middle section to make it more of a rectangle, or how that will work. At the moment, we are only like 7 inches. That's not big enough for a blanket, so we will continue to work on that. It is just garter stitch, if I did not mention, so it's going to be very squishy, lightweight blanket. We had to pick up my dad from the airport yesterday, and this was my car project, and it was perfect. I got about 20 rows done on that, so very fun. Enjoying that one. Like I said, it's just stockinette, you increase on one side, so very, very mindless, especially as you get bigger and bigger. It's going to go quicker. All This is in my Barley Pearl bag. I have 2 of these. These are just out on rotation. I haven't picked out a new sock bag in a while. I'll probably go through them and pick out some to swap these out. But they're just perfect tiny little bags. So in here are my Moss Walker socks by Jessie Made Designs. They are a toe-up sock. I have gotten some questions about if I knit toe-up socks. So this one is the first one in a while that I have made. But I have made a start on these. So again, the Moss Walker socks by Jessie Made Designs. I did not know that it was a toe-up sock when I purchased it, but so far the repeat is very memorizable. It is easy peasy. There's only one size in this pattern, but it seems to be fairly stretchy, so I don't think there'll be much of an issue, and I think you can adjust the gusset for an instep if need be. She also recommends a US 0, which I think is a US 2.0. Because the US 1 is 2.25. So I think US 0 is a 2.0. Which I have, but the recommended gauge I usually can knit on a US 1 2.25 millimeter, so I just used my US 1. But like I said, there's only one size in this pattern. The yarn is Yarnaceous Fibers in the colorway All Too Well, which is her monthly Taylor Swift collection, and it comes with a stitch marker, so that's the stitch marker that came with this particular sock yarn. And I'm using it to make textured socks for my sister every month. This is the January colorway, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, not too much to go off on that. I thought it would work well with this pattern because it is variegated, but like lightly variegated, and so I am enjoying this. No further comments as of yet. When I get to the heel, I think it is a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, so reverse gusset and slip stitch heel flap, which I want and am experimenting with as a solution for toe up socks, because shadow wrap or short row or fish lips kiss heels do not really work on my feet or my family's feet. We have really wide insteps, and so those don't typically work well for us. So I'm hoping that the slip stitch heel flap and gusset, which I think is also known as the Flegel heel, don't quote me on that, but I'm hoping that in my experimentation in this, and also just in personal experimentations, that will work and I can do some toe up socks. So that's the first sock of that. Just getting started, really. All of my socks that I'm about to show you are just getting started. The next one is the Floor Socks by Helen Stewart. This is the Handmade Sock Society, which is where you buy like an ebook, and then every 2 months, I think it is, you get a new sock pattern, and it was a fairly good price for, I think there's 6 in total. 6 or 7, I can't remember exactly, but I love a good sock pattern, so I was in for it. So I have started the Floor Socks, which was the first one that came through. The second one has already come through as well, and I have plans to make that one also. This is the Yarnaceous Fibers, the February colorway, which is Love Story. And it is also in a Barley Pearl chicken sweater bag. Here's the colorway in the skein. And this is also going to be a lacy, oh no, my stitch marker has fallen off. Are you in here? Must have fallen off on the couch, so I'll have to go look for it. But this one had a guitar, a red guitar, for Love Story. But this is as far as I've gotten, which is just the cuff. I just finished the 15 rounds it calls for. This one called for a 1x1 through the back loop on the knits. So that's a half twisted rib. And it didn't look like it mattered to the texture that was underneath it. So I just did a 1x1 not twisted. So that is complete, and I am ready for the lace pattern. And I don't know what my camera is trying to focus on. I'm sorry. It's bouncing all around. There we go. So I am ready to work on that. I don't know if it'll be something I can do while I'm editing, but maybe. Probably work on the blanket while I'm editing. So just a tiny start on that. I have to find my charm. I was working on this morning during breakfast, so it's likely it's just sitting on the couch. All right, the last work in progress, 37 minutes in. This is a bucket chicken bag that was from the Knitted Soiree. So I found that out last time and linked it down below. So the Knitted Soiree is where you want to go if you like this style of bag. In here are my Just Add Mohair socks by Summer Lee. I don't know if this pattern is available separately. I have the Sock Project book by Summer Lee, and that's where I pulled it from. These are technically DK weight socks because it is a fingering weight yarn held with a mohair. In her case, she was using actual mohair yarn. I am using this as an experiment because I have used mohair in the past and it was very irritating to my skin. One, my skin felt prickly by it, and I have a skin thing that doesn't really enjoy being prickled. So mohair is not soft to me. It is fairly coarse and not fun. And then it also was giving me itchy face, nose, all of that from the fibers, I'm assuming, that were in the air. So mohair is not for me, but I wanted to try, and I will show you the tag for it, because I see this around a lot, like a cashmere or an alpaca option for lace weight or fluff alternative. And so I wanted to try this. I got this on sale when she was having a sale on some in-stock colorways, and this is Super Glow Fibers, by the way. And so it is 53% Super Baby Alpaca, 34% silk, and 13% cashmere. And so far, so good. When I was winding it up, I didn't get a lot of fibers that made my face itchy or my nose itchy. And so far in knitting it, it is very soft, very warm. And so probably an alternative if I ever want or need to use a fluff in a pattern. The fingering weight that I'm holding with it is my Fangirl Fibers Canoodle colorway, which was the yarn that was included in the 2023 Spooky. I think it was called Spooky. The Spooky, I think I have the Haunted Holidays. I want to say I have the bags because I wanted to reuse them. The Haunted Holidays advent calendar that I got. And so this was the full skein that was in there, which is just an undyed skein of yarn. So I'm using US 3.25 millimeter needles, and I just have a basic start on this. I just cast it on last night. About to drop it. So these are the yarns. This is obviously the undyed, and then this is the Half Moon Glow, which is a rainbow, super soft, super squishy. Love it. And this is as far as I have gotten on it. Like I said, I cast it on last night before bed and just did a few rows. So I have a little rainbow stitch marker and then the cuff. The cuff of this one calls for a 1x1 rib. I obliged, and the pattern actually calls for striping where you would use 2 different colors and stripe it. I only have the one cashmere fluff. I only have the one undyed. If I had another cashmere fluff, I would probably stripe them so that you would see that. but this one's just going to be all one color DK weight. The pattern, I believe, has 5 sizes, and I'm doing the size medium. There's a kids, a small, medium, large, extra large, and I'm doing the size medium because I've made DK weight socks before, and that is the stitch count that works best for my sister. These are most likely for my sister. If I were to fit them, they may be for me. Might have enough to make myself some, but they're planned to be my sister's socks. So that is the last width that I have. Let me take a sip of drink. Because now we have acquisitions. And have quite a bit of acquisitions. I placed a Ruby and Roses order when she had her Downton Abbey launch, and so all of that came in right after my last episode, and I talked about it in my 15 sock knitting video that I'll link up here. Socks that I recommend, socks that I want to make, and a lot of the socks that I want to make, I needed black yarn, and I really loved the onyx yarn that was in the Daedalus socks, and so I went on, she had it in stock, so I ordered some of that, and then my monthly yarns came in as well. So let's go through that. I'm going to start with the Ruby and Roses. I did order multiples of a same colorway in a DK weight and a fingering, so I'm going to show those together. So if you see the same colorway and I'm holding them up together, I didn't order 2 fingering weights. One of them is in the DK and one of them is in the fingering. I did that because I liked the colorway as a solid and for lacy yarn or lacy patterns, but then I also liked it as a DK to make my grandma some socks, or you know, DK weight socks for other people. So I was trying to build up my DK stash, and I wanted solid yarns or semi-solid yarns for lace weight patterns. So that's the reason why I have 2 of the same color. It was entirely purposeful. All right, so this is the Legacy sock set. This is the only, no, there's another variegated. I'm saying this is the only variegated. The other one's not very heavily variegated, but this is on the Plump Rose 8515. And yeah, just a pretty bright variegated colorway. All of these have to be added into my whatchamacallit, spreadsheet, and for my yarn in, my grams in, gotta add these in there. So this one is We Like Strong Women here, and I got the fingering sock set and the DK. So you can see, oh, it's focusing on a mushroom guy. You're gonna scoot that, bud. The camera's focusing on you. There we go. So you can see how the yarn dye actually picks up differently on the fingering weight, which is this one here, and then the DK weight. But these are the same colorway. It looks like it picks up a lot more of the pink on the DK weight, which is also 8515. So same makeup but different yarn weight. Also different dye batches, but anyway, these are the We Like Strong Women here. That is the other variegated colorway I got. And then I got Cottage Core in fingering, the Plump Rose. And then I got Chauffeur in DK and fingering weight. So this one is the DK one here, slightly darker than the fingering weight. Yeah, those are the Ruby and Roses colorways I got. And then this is the one I was talking about, the Granite Mountain Fiber Co. I got 2 in Onyx. This is the Colebrook fingering base 7525, and you've seen it in the Daedalus socks, but it's a gorgeous black. Black is really hard to find in yarn, especially hand-dyed yarn. So This is a good base, and it looks like something that she keeps in stock regularly. So if you are looking for a black yarn, this one's really, really good. I don't know if Camp Fiber Yarns keeps the Just a Black in, but that's also a really good one. That's more of a 2-ply, if that's more your jam. But yes, got 2 of these to work on the I Walk the Line socks and the Winter socks, which is a colorwork sock. So these are in stock, ready to be used for those. And then my monthly yarns that I get, this is the Taylor Swift yarn. The charm there, if you are unable to see it, because this one's a little bit difficult, it says Reputation, and this is Call It What You Want in the Salta fingering. The camera is very tired of focusing on yarn today, I guess. Yes, so this is, let's see, it is now June, so I think this was the May colorway. I always get confused because of when these 2 come in, if one is the June or if this one is the May. But anyway, I think both of these are the May colorways. And then this is the Fangirl Fibers Cryptids, Myths, and Legends colorway. This is the Wendigo. And I get this in her DK weight, and I make socks for my grandma. She has already received several pairs of them and loves them. So this one will probably go to her as well, because she loves greens and blues just like I do. All right, that is all of the acquisitions that I have. So now we can talk about other stuff. Let's see. I am going to go into what I've been reading, which doesn't happen too often, but I have some great news. I'm going to go into what I'm reading, and I'm going to go into lifey stuff. But before I go, I just want to mention that I am also going to include a short video section at the end to include all of the socks that have been entered into Charlie's Sock Hop so far. So if you are interested in that, skip to the end if you don't want to hear the lifey stuff or the book stuff. I just want to include it at the end just in case, you know, it's not something someone is interested in. I will try my best to remember to do a bookmark, but I've never done that before, so I don't know how that works. All right, books. So I've included books in my podcasts here and there, but it is not something that I am very consistent in. And a lot of that is physical books are just not really something that I am able to read very quickly. I've never been able to read books very, very quickly. So I have been doing audiobooks, and most of my audiobooks have been business type books or leadership type books that I've been listening to for work. And I finished one of those this week, which is Turn the Ship Around by L. David Marquette. It's an okay book. It's very military heavy because it's talking about a warship. It's talking about a submarine and how he used a specific leadership leadership method it's the leader method, where you're a leader of a leader and you have to lead your own and take ownership for your own actions and encourage the people that are underneath you that you are leading to also take ownership for their own actions and act as if they are a leader themselves. And that breeds leaders. So anyway, it's a pretty good book. Little stale. It's a little slow, but I finally did finish that one. So I'll put a picture of the title here. So I finished that one. I also finished Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer, which is the 4th book in the Area X series that he has. Absolutely love this book. Absolutely. This book, this series, love it all. It is a slow burn. So if you are not into that, probably not the book for you. It is a thriller, sci-fi type of book, mystery. I have no answers for you. I do not know what has happened. I don't have any answers. From the 1st book to the 4th book, there's no answers. There's explanations of why certain things happened and how certain things happened, but there are no answers as to what exactly is happening. So don't expect that going in. If that bothers you, don't read this series. But I finished it, and this book was brilliant. I loved it. I can't imagine having 10 years in between the third book and this book and not knowing the information in this book. But yes, I absolutely love this series and recommend it if you're okay with mundane information being told to you and then having twists that make your jaw drop. I recommend these books. So yeah, I finished both of those books the week that I had off, and then I was working one day, and I've tried to read books while I'm working, but if I'm in the middle of a book, I feel like I don't want to work and read a book because I won't retain the information or something. I don't know why. So I usually just listen to music or like a mystery crime podcast. But one day last week, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a new book. So I went on Libby, typed in thriller, searched by thriller, and the one book that was available in all of my search filters was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. Audiobook, of course. And so I just started playing it. And I also have never really done like the sped up version. I just listen at it at normal recorded version. But I slowly started inching it up and got up to 2 so double speed. And was able to retain all the information in that book. Was amazing. So I definitely recommend it as well. And something that I have never been able to say before, I finished a book in one day. I listened to this book the entire work day, of course pausing for meetings, and if I really needed to focus on what I was doing, I paused it so I wasn't split focused. But I finished it that evening. So a whole book in one day, and it's great. I have the second book on Audible, and so that's on my list to start as well. So those were the 3 books that I finished. I finished 3 books. It's crazy. And then I started the Assassin's Blade again. I have tried to read this book physically, and I got halfway through it, but my sister it was my sister's book, and she wanted to pass it on to someone at work to read, and since I'm a very slow reader, I think I had it for like 3 months, I gave it back to her, and then I was going to listen to it on audiobook, and I think I got, 10 minutes in, and it just wasn't vibing with me, so I had started something else. So I started that, and it's going well. I've been able to listen to it at, I think 1.8 speed is where I am, with that one, but I have gotten through a good third of it, so going well there. The Assassin's Blade, if you don't know, is by Sarah J. Maas. I think I said that, and it is the novellas that are before the Throne of Glass series. So that's where my sister recommended I started, with the Throne of Glass. So I started there. Okie dokie. So that is all of the books. Now it's just lifey stuff, which I will be very brief with. The reason why I did not record last week, and you probably saw that I uploaded a video of organizing my yarn stash, which I had recorded on my week off. I woke up Sunday, which is when I usually record my podcast, and I was extremely sore in my arms and my shoulders, and that was from building the girls' new coop. We got 3 new baby chicks. Here's pictures of them. We got 3 new baby chicks 3 weeks ago on Tuesday, and yeah, we needed some more space in the coop for all of them with our existing 4 girls, and so we had to build the new one, and it stressed my arms out, stressed my muscles, so I really just didn't feel like doing anything other than laying around and not moving on Sunday. So I knew I had the organization video, so what I did was I just recorded that one, and then that way I would be fresh and happy to record all of the information for you this week. So that's the reason why I was delayed. The baby chicks are doing great. We just moved them out to the shed yesterday, and they're doing fine. They stayed in the house a little bit longer because they were pretty quiet compared to our first batch of chicks that we got last year. And yeah, they're doing great. I've shown them off to the other girls and to Buddy the rooster, and they're not quite happy yet, but they'll get there hopefully. But yeah, everybody is doing well in the chick universe. I think that's all of the lifey stuff. So we'll just talk about Charlie's Sock Hop. Like I said, if you want full details of Charlie's Sock Hop, please watch the episode 40, which was the last podcast episode, and you can get all the details on how to participate. It's a very lax make along, and the more participation we get, the more prizes we will have. So I plan to draw some, I think probably once a month for each one, and that goes through all the way through August 31st. So lots of time to participate. If you are just making your first sock, that's great. If you are making your 900th sock, that's great also. If you only make one pair in the entire summer, that's cool. If you only make a fourth of a sock in the entire summer, that's okay too. Participation is just making socks together. So that's all. You don't have to finish a pair of socks to participate. And there's also many different ways to enter. If you are on Ravelry, we have a Ravelry group. If you are on Instagram, you can tag me on Instagram. And if you don't use either of those, you can email me and still enter. So, disclaimer, before I start the video of the socks that were submitted for Charlie's Sock Hop. Charlie's Sock Hop, the whole thing, the whole gimmick of it is that Charlie, my bunny, is going to judge your socks. It is a known joke, if you have watched my Vlogmases, that Charlie is very opinionated. She's very sassy, and she is not afraid to tell you what is what. And so she may be a little sassy in the next segment. So please do not get offended if she judges your sock harshly. It is all for fun. Your socks are lovely. They are beautiful, and there is nothing wrong with them. So just wanted to put that out there. She's not going to be mean. She's not going to say, I hate this sock. But if there's something fun that I can pull from it to have her say, then I'm going to pull it. But otherwise, we're going to laugh together. So here is Charlie's review of the socks that have been submitted so far. All right, hopefully that was a good laugh for some of you, or just made you smile at least today in this dark, dark world. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.